Basically, Summit started off its life 20-odd years ago as an international sales agent, and over the course of many years became known as one of the top companies doing that sort of business. And what that business is going to market with independent producers' films to sell them to the international marketplace. And then you can, as a producer, take those international contracts to banks and lending facilities to raise the production budget or a portion of the production budget of your movies. And that's still a really core part of Summit's business. It's how we also finance our own productions. Well, I think honestly one of the first preoccupations we would have at this company is about the viability for the international marketplace. It's a very important consideration for us because most of the funding to make movies is going to be driven from our international sales and those contracts that are put into place. The major things that we're looking for are unique stories and commercial viability, domestic and international. It's a tough question because the international marketplace is a very complex one, and what might be the right answer in that regard for France might be completely the wrong answer for Germany, UK, Australia, Spain, Italy, Japan, Korea, all the major territories that really matter. Asia may have very different tastes in movies than Eastern Europe does, which is very different than Latin America or anywhere else in Western Europe. So there's no one answer. There are certain genres that do seem to work well. Basically action, adventure, the more universal that it is, the better. In other words, the less American-centric. Same thing with comedies, if they're very slapstick, if they're not dialogue-driven. But that's not to say that, you know, if you're Juno and you're a smart, intelligent comedy, you can't do good business around the world as well. So I can't say there's any overriding rules, and the marketplace is constantly changing and evolving internationally as well. So what once worked or didn't work in any given country can be changing all the time on us. Nothing gonna stop it. Nothing gonna stop me from feeling this way. Well, it actually came to us after it had been with optioned by a studio for about a year, and then came to our company after that. So to some degree it was a nice bit of luck and happy circumstance.
By the way, does Robert Pattinson actually, does he really sparkle in real life?
Are you serious, Lloyd?
You bet.
No.
Oh, I bet he did. To me, he sparkles.
That's one that was really very organic and homegrown inside Summit here, with our head of production, Eric Feig, really feeling like it was a genre that could be revisited and reinvented for the next generation.
Getting back to Twilight, I want to meet Robert Pattinson. Is he really that beautiful? Let's see. Is Summit open to working with independent filmmakers who bring you a finished film? And if so, how do you select such a thing?
Well, it's always a possibility. I mean, I think since we were capitalized a few years ago by Wall Street monies and kind of turned into a larger mini-major operation, we've sort of gotten away a little bit from the smaller films, but there's always a possibility for that. I mean, as you know, we've been involved with The Hurt Locker domestically as well. It was a pickup from Toronto Film Festival, so that sort of thing can still happen in our business. I don't know that there's any magic formula as to what we're looking for other than just commercial viability and playability, and I think basically at this point, because we're one step off of the major studio system, we're probably looking for something kind of unique and different. It's difficult to get the meeting, it's difficult to be successful and unique in the context of that meeting any more than the hundreds of other meetings that get taken with creative and development teams at the major companies. what can I suggest other than that you try and
Yeah.
sparkle a little bit like Robert Pattinson?
Do you think I could meet Robert Pattinson? Can you introduce me?
No, Lloyd. There used to be a real market for the American independent film ever since the mid-90s through to a couple of years ago, for example, with a lot of viable films in those mid-budget ranges coming through. And
Meaning what?
Meaning anywhere from a few million up to the 15, 20 million mark kind of level. And that just seems to have really dried up in the last couple of years. Basically, I think also because the product really needs to probably be star-driven on some level or another, more often than not. And, you know, it's just really rare for companies to stick around in this business for 20 years or even 37 years like Troma has. So I think you might be lucky for a few more.
I think we'll be very lucky for a few more. Any more light you can shed on Robert Pattinson?
No more advice on Robert Pattinson.
So maybe the advice is for someone who can't get the 40 million is keep the budget really, like almost micro budget, you think? Or?
It's not a bad tack to go because at this point those kinds of films are also being very heavily marketed through the film festival system as well. And thank God that advantage is still there for that level of film. Lloyd, is this okay?
What do you got there, Brad? Oh, oops.
Touch the ground.